Well, originally we had Dr. Richard Bronemark slated, so some of you already noticed I'm not him. I'm the CFO, and as you understand, my kids didn't exactly beg me to come to school and present stuff and what I do. So when I finally have something interesting to talk about, I will certainly do my best to make you enjoy it. We are Integrum, and of course, a leading medical technology company. But what do we do? Well, our product is anchoring bone-anchored prosthetics. So we have an implant system that enables you to anchor your prosthetic device into the bone. The product is called Opera Implant System, and we are the only ones to have a PMA in the US for our product in this field. We have had 34% CAGR since 2020, 2021. The reason why there are two yearly numbers there is because our fiscal year is May to April. So sorry if that confuses you. Yeah, we believe that our market, our TAM is $7.8 billion. Since the 20 years we've been in business, we have treated more than 1,000 patients. We are mostly we are active in the US, of course, and Europe, and also Australia. Our main market is the US, has about 75% of our revenue, and we have a PMA there since 2020. Also a subsidiary working there with an internal sales force, a small one, but it is one. Also some distribution partners. And we believe that the US market is $5.6 billion. In Europe, we have CE marking for most of our indications. We have an internal sales force here as well, distribution partners in some of the countries, and we believe that that market is about $2.2 billion. And of course, our headquarters is right here at GoCo. Woohoo! Right, so what is Opera? Well, it's mainly aimed at people that are amputated, of course. And this is how we sort of calculate our TAM. We believe that there are about 3.1 million people living with limb loss. Out of those people, 1.3 million are patients or people that are sort of suitable for our product, meaning they have limb loss from trauma or cancer associations. Out of that, we believe that 260,000 people are able to, or suitable for our solution, which gives us a 7.8 billion estimated total addressable market. Now, I guess that's a good number and a good thing for you guys from investment banks to calculate the ASP then while we have coffee. 7.8 billion divided by 260,000 will make our ASP, right? So what's the benefit of using our product? Well, if you look at a standard prosthesis, it's based on putting your stump in a socket. So that may cause some problems, because while you move around, you might sweat because you strap the socket on, unlike this microphone. So you strap the socket on, and if you start sweating, the socket might move, so you need to restrap it, which means that you have to stop what you're doing and restrap it. And also, the moving of the socket might cause friction to your skin, and that causes infections. And also, of course, your stump during the course of your lifetime, your stump will change form. So you need to have a new socket done, maybe every 2, every 3 years. If you can instead use the OPRA implant system, you would attach your prosthesis so that it is attached to your skeleton, to your bones, which increases your mobility. It eliminates the socket-related problems because there's no friction, right? And there's no sweat. Also, there's some nice words there that a CFO normally doesn't understand, and I'm not sure I do either, but it means that when you use our system, and there's clinical trials that have shown this, patients say that they have more of a normal feeling. I mean, for example, trampling on grass rather than asphalt. They can sort of sense the difference in a different way than when you have a socket, which increases their quality of life. And one big thing is, of course, the attachment. I don't know, yeah, I will show it in a picture later, but you attach your prosthesis to sort of a ski binding, right? And that attachment is done in a minute, whereas a standard prosthesis with a socket could take you an hour, right? So of course, people could take them on and off in an instant when you use the OPRA implant system. So how do you get an OPRA implant system? Well, it's a 2-step surgery. So we call the 2 steps stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 1 means that you place a fixture within your bone. So that's stage 1. Then you have to wait for that to heal, and then for stage 2, you put an abutment into the fixture. So the abutment into the fixture, and the fixture has grown into the bone. So that makes for a tight sort of solution. You put a skin flap over the abutment, and there's a little hole in the skin flap, and you have a plastic surgeon attach the skin flap over your stump. So the only thing that sticks out is the abutment. So it's this part. And then after this has healed, you can start rehabilitation, and you get what I call the ski binding, which is called the Axor 2. And into the Axor 2, you attach your prosthesis. And of course, the fixture is treated with a patented treatment called biohelix. And biohelix treatment will make it easier for the fixture to grow into the bone. So it's really, really secured and attached. And also, the ski binding here, it is actually a little bit like a ski binding because it does have a release system. So if you fall, it'll release your prosthesis so you don't break the abutment or your bone. And we have clinical trials, of course, that have shown that what I talked about, the mechanical function and the sense that it's more anatomically like having a real leg, for example, that improves. You have also seen that our patients, they move around more, walk more with our system. And of course, overall quality of life increases. We have products for all these indications. I'd say thumb, index finger, upper arm, above knee are all regulatory approved within the EU and the UK and also Ukraine. Whereas the PMA I talked about, it's for the above knee indication in the US. And yeah, I'd like to also an anecdote. I said Ukraine. We are also active in the Ukraine, helping out, victims of the war there. And of course, and I'd say an advantage over a socket prosthesis is that nowadays people have flak vests, right, in war, so they don't bleed out if from the chest when they get shrapnel. But they don't have protection for the arms, for example. So if they get shrapnel in the arm and starts bleeding really badly, you put a tourniquet, but you put it pretty high up. I mean, as far up the arm as you can. And the idea is that when you put that tourniquet on and tighten it, you need to get to a doctor quickly or a hospital quickly. But generally, they're at the front, so they don't. So the arm needs to be amputated. And since the tourniquet is pretty far up, it needs to be amputated far up. So they don't have a stump to put a socket on, right? The stump is too small. But our solution is putting a fixture in the bone and then the abutment. And generally, you have a piece of bone still left in the stump, so they can actually use our solution to get a prosthesis, which increases their quality of life. Because nowadays, you don't die from the shrapnel that you used to do before. So this is also, it's a little bit macabre, but it's actually an improvement for the quality of life for a lot of people. Now, we published a press release announcing a strategy shift in February. And we want to sort of be much more transparent going forward. I forgot to tell you, we're listed at the NASDAQ First North Stock Exchange since 2017. So we wanted to sort of talk about what our next moves are. So why not do it here as well? I mean, as I said, you could say we are market leaders and technology leaders because we have the PMA in the US and we have the regulatory approval in the EU and so on. And nobody else has that. That makes us leaders, and we need to make use of that position. And to understand our revenue model, I said we have two surgeries in 2 stages, and we have the ski binding called Axor. Each of these stages and the Axor bring in revenue when we do them, right? So it's a 3-step revenue model, you could say. Now, for us, and I'm sure you agree with me, it doesn't make sense to do the first stage and then leave. I mean, all patients that do the first stage will do the second stage and buy an Axor. So for us, the really strategic move is to make people do the first stage surgery, the S1. If they do the S1, they will do the S2, and then they will buy Axors. So you could say that 50% of our total revenue is from the S1s. S2 comes after that, 3 to 6 months after that, and then the Axor comes a few months after that. But then we have also a warranty program, so the Axor is covered by warranty for 3 years, and then if it breaks, you have to get another one. And it breaks because people move around with these things. I mean, they are out walking on the beach, swimming even if we don't recommend it. So they wear and tear it, the Axor. So it breaks down, right? So they need new ones. And Axors are now 20% of the US revenue in the recent quarters. So, I mean, we have to understand that revenue will change over time because of which of these products that dominates the quarter. So to make people understand this and sort of to be more transparent of how the business is going, since we don't give guidance on future revenue, we are now publishing our S1 figures so that people can track how many patients are we treating continually. And the commercial strategy is to create centers of excellence. As you understand, of course, surgeons are keys to our operation, if you will. That's a Gothenburg joke, by the way. But they're not the only players here. I mean, of course, you have prosthetists, certified prosthetists, right? They are the ones meeting amputees the most. A surgeon will meet the amputee during surgery and then maybe some rehabilitation, but then never again. But the CPO, as it's called, the certified prosthetist, will meet the patient for life. So, of course, we have also started engaging in training CPOs and engaging them and educating them in what our product does. So not only surgeons, but CPOs. Also, right now, I talked about Dr. Rickard Brånemark. He's the founder of the company. He stepped down as the CEO last fall. We are also looking for a CEO now, but someone with a lot of commercial experience from the US. So yeah, we have coffee in 10 minutes. So if you're up for it, come talk to me. We don't know what might happen. Oh, is this going on a film? Yeah. Anyway, also, we have done a lot of research, and of course, we have an implant system that where we're trying to look into how to enable prosthesis to be mind-controlled. Sounds like science fiction, but it's not. I mean, it works through electrode. You have a controller in your axor and electrodes to the muscles. And the muscles that are still remain in your stump, you can still control with your mind, right? So interpreting those signals can enable you to control the prosthesis. But that's far away, and I will show you in the next slide. Because our new strategic shift is shifting away from the future, because I will show you, I can already tell you now, we did 44 S1s in the last quarter. And if anyone remembers what the TAM was for the possible patients, it's 260,000. So having a PMA, we need to focus on driving sales for the product that we have now, rather than focusing too much on the future. So the strategic shift now is more, I shouldn't say short-sighted, but revenue focused. What can bring revenue now? What can bring patients for our current products now? And this is the KPI I'm talking about. I mean, we are introducing the S1 KPI now, so it's the first time when we publish it, actually, last quarterly report. So we hope that can create more transparency and understanding from the market. And I'm sure you are interested in the financials. So we had net sales last quarter of 23.7 million SEK in comparison to previous years, same quarter, 30.1. And looking at the US, almost the same as last year, but EMEA, APAC, as we call rest of the world, is down almost more than 6 million to 3.6 million for the last quarter. So you might ask, how come? Well, we started in the Ukraine in December 2023, training a lot of surgeons in a center there. And although we have an arrangement with them, they bought a big inventory in quarter 3, 2023-24. And of course, we didn't sell that again this year. So that explains all of the difference, more or less. Anyway, looking at the gross margins, we are at usually between 80 and 83%, which is a pretty, that is pretty normal for us to be at that margin. The variation is because between quarters is because, as I told you before, product mix and also customer mix, of course, markets and so on. Cash flow minus 19.5 and cash balance 14.6. As some of you, if you do the research or already did, you saw that we did a directed share issue in February of 31 million, and also that is not accounted for in these figures since our Q3 were published for January 31st. So we have an additional cash inflow there. Also, as I told you, the S1 surgeries for Q3 was 44, and that means that we're only scratching the surface. Our strategic target is to reach $20 million in sales. After that, we have to create a new strategic target, of course, but getting to that threshold will enable a lot of possibilities for us. But it's really important that we can show both ourselves and the market that we can reach that level of revenue and continue on from there. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Jörgen. Please raise your hand if you have any questions. Otherwise, I start off. You talked a little bit about the revenue, and Ukraine is affecting your comparable numbers. But if you exclude that, you were growing. Was the Ukraine business so big, or?
Yeah, in the third quarter, we just started out, and it's a little bit problematic to ship goods in, or it's easier now, but back then it was problematic. So it was better for us to ship like a fuller inventory than just shipping surgery by surgery.
Okay. Jörgen, you also talked about this strategic shift in your company, and you have different plans for the R&D. Will you divest it, do you think, or will you just downsize it, or make an IPO of the R&D? Do you have what kind of different ways forward, do you think?
Excellent questions. Yeah, I think we are evaluating what to do now. The main message is that with the R&D that we should do going forward, we need to make sure that it brings revenue in the short to medium term, rather than being sort of, research. So this is our main strategy, and what to do with the rest, let's see. I mean, the board is evaluating.
Yeah, okay. But that will take like half a year, or do you think?
I think we aim to make that assessment faster than that, but I can't tell right now. It's pretty new still.
Okay. You mentioned one major part of your strategy is to establish center of excellence, as I understood.
Yes.
How many do you think you will have in the longer term?
In a longer term, I don't know. I mean, right now we are trying to sort of, it's a classic strategy, I guess, to have a few that we really focus on, and then like a mid-tier centers of excellence as well. And then you have centers that we'll do if they ask, sort of. So we try to, because it's sort of, we want to build centers of excellence. It's sort of land and expand strategy where you sort of find out how to build a center of excellence, get that playbook, and use that playbook to establish another one, and then another one, and then another one. So I guess, I mean, hopefully we will have centers of excellence that will bring $7.8 billion.
Yeah, of course. One question from the audience.
Yeah, good question. I mean, our customers now are basically hospitals for the implants, and then prosthetic clinics for the axors. So, I mean, usually we sell the implants one by one, or like surgery by surgery, and then the axors are sold more in bulk then. No, that's sort of the ski binding that you. No electronics right now. So it's just mechanical. Yeah, that's another good question. I mean, in theory, a competitor could build one, I guess, but we have it as one system. So abutments. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, another one.
Curiously, has your product been used in the sports realm of the
Yes. Well, I'm not sure competitive sports, I wouldn't say, but we have a guy from Ukraine. He does bow, yeah, arching, yeah. He's an archer, so he used to be a competitive archer, I think. And people, there's a guy in the U.S. He has, I think, two prosthetic legs, and he plays golf at a very low handicap. So.
because if you see that you have a higher range of motion or perception and so on, those are usually performance-based attributes, and therefore
Yes.
sports can be an interesting path there.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Good point.
Okay. Thank you very much. We will. Yeah.
Question regarding mentioned S1s is quite strongly connected to the revenue, and you mentioned 44 during the last quarter, and you have a potential of 250,000 people. So what is the restriction or the challenges that you're facing to increase the number? I see surgeries is just
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. I think, yeah, this is an elective procedure, right? So, I mean, for the most part, I guess you need. I'm not an amputee myself, right? But for the most part, I mean, as it is now, at least, you would need to come in contact with our product. You need to have a problem with your socket prosthesis. I mean, because otherwise I'm not sure you would know about it. And this is why we're training CPOs to inform their patients about our product. But basically, you do the S1 and you have 3 months of rehabilitation, and then you do the S2 and you have 3 to 6 months, I should say. And after stage 2, you have a few more months of rehabilitation as well before that heals. So, of course, if you don't have any problems or experience any problems with your socket prosthesis, there's a threshold there, right? So that's one issue, of course. But But a lot of people have asked about health insurance in the U.S. And I mean, I don't think we experience much of a problem with that nowadays. But basically, I'd say that we need just to inform CPOs and come closer to patients, but we need to inform CPOs and come closer to the patients to expand. Because there's a little bit of a complexity because you need to have that center. That's why we call it a center of excellence, or some call it an ecosystem, or ecosystem, I should say, not an ecosystem. Yeah. So because you have the CPO, you have the surgeon, and so on. So.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jürgen. We will have a quick coffee break. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.